Good afternoon, ladies. Welcome to Inspire, and I'm so glad that you're here today. We have an incredible afternoon. Well, okay, I exaggerated, not a whole afternoon, a lunchtime planned for you. And some of you came specifically to hear our speaker. If that is the case, hopefully you will enjoy it so much that you come back. Next month, we meet the second Thursday of every month right here. If you are not on our emailing list, please make sure that we have your email so that we can have you sign up. And when you receive that email, it's really important, I can't stress this enough, to RSVP, just so we can make sure we have enough seats, food, the whole bit. So thank you so much for coming today.
Hello, ladies. What a beautiful group of women. Have you ever had one brief moment that has marked you and changed you? I've been a part of a really big story of pain and suffering, and it feels like the longest story ever. Oh, like that? Okay. My story feels really long because I had to live it, and it's been incredibly challenging to try to pull out a few stories to tell you, because I have so many stories to tell. But out of the journey, which is about 8 years old now, I want to tell you about 3 really brief moments that have marked me and changed me, and moments that I hope to never forget. So here's a quick background, very condensed. 8 years ago, I had a surgery. It was botched, a hysterectomy. I woke from the surgery in pain, constant pain. So began the chronic years. This is what I experienced. I had chronic fatigue, joint pain, muscle pain, depression, headaches, weakness, brain fog, self-pity, racing heart, isolation, mental fatigue, anger, confusion, toothaches, weight loss, loneliness, memory loss, digestive problems, insomnia, discouragement, emergency room visit, overall dysfunction. I was failing to thrive, and I became homebound. So that was over 6 years. I was declining, going from doctor to doctor, and none could give me a diagnosis. I was a medical mystery, constantly wondering how was I ever going to get well if I didn't know what was wrong. So finally, in January 2015, I was diagnosed with chronic Lyme disease, which is caused by a tick bite. And I remember having tick bites as a child, and apparently my immune system was so strong it was able to hold down that bacterial infection up until the time that I had the botched surgery. And that's when my immune system just lost the battle. Now, I could go into explaining what Lyme disease is, but just understand that it is a hostile takeover of every system of your body. And if you'd like to know more about it, I will be happy to talk with you later about it. Before starting the treatment, the Lyme specialist tested me for mold toxins, because if I had an exposure to mold, it was going to really complicate my treatment. So that's how we found out that we had a major mold problem in our home. Treatment was started, stopped, changed, started, stopped. I could not tolerate any of the protocols my doctor had tried, and the only other options were not promising. So at that point, I was in a dark place. It began to feel like I was losing my mind, and I began to wonder if I was dying. It was the end of July 1 year ago that friends gathered in my living room to pray for me. Now, I've already skipped a lot of stories here, and I'm going to skip even more and just say that 1 month later after that prayer time, I'm in Scottsdale, Arizona receiving treatment. And at this clinic, all the patients there were being treated for Lyme disease or stage 4 cancer. It was serious business. I received 11 weeks of the most brutal, intense treatment. And I'm going to tell you 3 really brief moments from those weeks of treatment. So the first one happened right after we got to Scottsdale. I had to go to the hospital to have a port installed in my chest. If you know anyone who's had cancer, the meds are administered through a port. So the surgeon makes a cut, inserts this triangular device that has a long tube. The tube is pushed under the skin, over the collarbone up to the neck, and then another cut is made where the tube is put into the artery and the tube is pushed down into the heart. I was supposed to be asleep during this surgery, and I never fell asleep. I felt every bit of the pain, but I also got to listen to the surgeon describe every move and every instrument because he was instructing students during the surgery. And I'm like, I don't want to have any memory of this. I just want to go to sleep town. I want to go to sleep. I want to cooperate with the anesthesia. And have you ever tried really hard to go to sleep? And then try that while somebody's cutting on you. Well, so about the time that the surgeon is finishing, all of a sudden, in a split second, I started crying. And I'm consumed with this thought. Oh God, you love me so much. I can't believe how much you love me. You love me so much, and I can't believe it. I'm trying to wrap my brain around this idea, this feeling of God's love for me. And I'm so overwhelmed by God's love that I am oblivious to the pain. Now, what else could move someone to tears in a split second and cause them to feel so much undeserved love? My only explanation is God's presence. I was overwhelmed by God's presence. I was seized by the power of a great affection. Over a century ago in the Deep South, when somebody was giving testimony of an encounter with God, that was what they would say. I have been seized by the power of a great affection. And God had just swooped me up and hugged me tight and loved on me during a surgery. And my heart was just exploding in response to him. On the way back to the recovery room, it felt like God was saying to me, Cheryl, this is how it's going to be. My presence will always be greater than your pain. And you wrote that truth on my heart as a promise. His presence would be greater than my pain. The second moment I want to share is the clinic where I received treatment had this really unique way of killing the Lyme bacteria. And it was their form of chemotherapy. I had heard horror stories from other patients, so I was very nervous walking into the treatment room for the first time, where a nurse would be monitoring me, and she began to explain what to expect as she was prepping me. She gave me an electric blanket and said, you're going to start out feeling cold, and then you'll feel hot and clammy. And she would know I was at that stage when I kicked the blanket off. And then I would start feeling so cold that I would be shaking. And I would feel very nauseated the whole time. So I get out my Kindle, I want to put my earphones on, listen to some music, and just this little attempt to escape this experience I'm going into. Now, how the nurse should have explained what to expect is this. Even though you hate roller coaster rides and you're terrified of them, you're going to be forced to ride one by yourself with no seatbelt. You're going to ride through weather that's 30 degrees below freezing with every muscle in your body tensed up because you're freezing from the inside out. After a while there, you will go into an oven that's 500 degrees where you feel baked, you're limp and weak, you're going to feel like you're passing out, there's no way to hold on as you're being thrown around. After a while there, you go back to the freezer where you will be shaking uncontrollably from the cold. And there will be no space for thinking, you will be in survival mode. Well, as I'm coming to the end of this ride, there's one line out of one song that really jumped out to me, and I was actually able to clearly hear it. It's a song by J.J. Heller called Your Hands. Just as I get the shakes, and I am physically shaking, I hear this phrase from the song, when my world is shaking, heaven stands. That was God's perfect timing. I open my eyes and I look out the huge window in the treatment room, and off in the distance I can see a mountain range. And God gave me this picture of all of heaven standing with me. I see God the Father, the Holy Spirit, and Jesus Christ right there in the room with me, and behind them and off my peripheral vision, as far as I can see, are all the armies of angels. And I happen to think that armies look like Marines, really tough and buff. And these Marines and armies, stretch all the way to the mountain range, and then at the mountain range and beyond into infinity are all of the saints who have gone before me. And in a split second, I have this truth written on my heart that all of heaven was standing in solidarity with me and for me. Everyone in heaven was giving honor to this battle that I was in. I wasn't alone. I wasn't abandoned. I had been seized by the power of a great affection. God again gave me his presence, and he also said, "We are all here for you." Even though no human could enter my experience with me, all of heaven could, and they did. And these entities I saw in front of me, which is all of heaven, it's who I'm spending eternity with. These are my people, my family. I belong there with them. And I had never comprehended the hope of heaven before. It gave me this powerful perspective that that moment I was in really is temporary compared to eternity, and that I belonged to something that's beyond my experience on this planet. And it was just this powerful perspective. The third moment, most days were spent sitting in my recliner, hooked up to IVs, feeling tortured. And one day was especially a horrible, awful, no good day. My pain level was up. I got the killer headache. I was really nauseated, but I am extremely irritated. Like I am annoyed and agitated by everything around me. Like my brain was on high alert and overstimulated. There was too much light in the window. My recliner was too hot. I am irritated by the whining noise in the AC vent. I've been picking up everything, and I could hear nurses out in the hallway talking, and their voices sounded like nails on a chalkboard, and I wanted to go pinch their heads off. So again, I take out my Kindle and I put my headphones on just in an attempt to block it all out. My playlist is always in shuffle mode. I don't know what song's coming next, but the soft piano music starts, and I hear these words. When my faith gets tired and my hope seems lost, you spin me round and round and remind me of that song. The one you wrote for me, and we dance. Now what happened next was in my mind's eye, in my spirit, but Jesus is standing in front of me with his hand out saying, "Will you dance with me?" And I said, "Seriously, right now?" But Jesus is hard to resist. And so we danced. And the lyrics continued, "And I will lock eyes with the one who's ransomed me, the one who gave me joy for mourning. I will lock eyes with the one who's chosen me, the one who set my feet to dancing." And we danced, just you and me. It's nice to know I'm not alone. I found my home here in your arms. It was a very beautiful dance with the lover of my soul. Have you ever imagined being face to face with Jesus and locking eyes? For me, it was just sweet. I had been seized by the power of a great affection, and when that song ended, the dance was over. I just curled up in my recliner and cried with relief and gratitude that God had given me this escape from my suffering. I had been seized by the power of affection during the port surgery. God gave me his presence and the promise his presence would be greater than my pain, and it gave me courage. When he gave me the picture of all of heaven standing for me, I was seized by the power of a great affection because of this powerful perspective of the hope of heaven. I mean, if nothing else, I had heaven to look forward to. And during my irritation, I was given relief from my reality. Dancing in the arms of Jesus was a meditation that literally calmed down my nervous system. What a prescription. In each of these situations, I wasn't trying to trust in Jesus. I wasn't praying. But God is always taking the initiative and orchestrating ways to show each of us his love and presence throughout the day. And I believe he custom designs his approach to each of us. And most of our moments are not as dramatic as what I explained. But every single day, God is saying to us, I am here for you. I am with you. I see you. And I'm enough for you. And I want to be really honest and say that I always wasn't aware that God's presence was greater than my pain, because that is honestly not how it usually felt. And I forgot that all of heaven was standing with me during my battles. I didn't always accept his offer to dance, let alone look him in the eyes. But he understands that. He knows how hard it is for me to be human, and he gives me grace. And regardless of my response, the promise of his presence is still true. It is not dependent on me. So, out of all the stories I could have told from the past 8 years, why would I share these 3 brief moments, these encounters with God? I could have shared the emotional and mental journey of having a chronic illness. I could have talked about the financial challenges and all the mind-blowing ways that God provided. I could have told you story after story of the people that God used in my life, along with the ones I had to forgive. And I could have talked about what I learned from all the solitude that I experienced and the struggle to keep my body and spirit nourished. But I shared those 3 experiences because at the end of the day and at the end of my life, it all comes down to just me and God. Everything I've experienced and every pain you've experienced will all melt away, and nothing else will matter but your relationship with him. There's nothing else more important that I could have shared with you, no greater truth that could be written on your heart than this. His constant presence with you is real. His great affection for you is powerful. And when you are seized by it, you will be changed. So wherever you are in your journey of faith, whether trusting God is new for you, whether you've trusted God for years, or whether you've struggled for years to trust God, I want to challenge you to just start being aware that God is with you. Be aware of the power of his presence. Be in awe of how he custom designs these moments where he interrupts your reality just to love on you. Be aware of how his love call and how he's wooing your heart. He has this incredible longing for you to know him. There's an old proverb that says, those who have the disease called Jesus will never be cured. I am in remission from Lyme disease, but I will never be cured of Jesus. And I will end with my first question that I asked, and you can discuss these around your table. Have you ever had one brief moment that has marked you and changed you? Or you can share an idea of how to be more aware of God's presence during your day. Thank you.